We don't have time for an intro. Let's get just right into it. Number 1, do not worry about messing up. Most people mess up their first characters anyway, but that's half the fun. Give yourself an achievable goal, like finishing the campaign, for example, or getting to the end game, and just focus on that. Path of Exile is a very complex game, especially for people who've never played this kind of ARPG before. So it's kind of expected that you're going to mess up your first character. So don't worry too much about that, because you'll get choice paralysis, basically. You won't be able to make any decisions. And just like anything else in life, it's just easier to just start. Just get your first foot in the game, start playing, and you'll figure out the rest as you go along. But that being said, moving on to number 2, don't chase the meta. It's the best way to burn yourself out. If you look at guides for Path of Exile and you're looking for like, what's the best character this league? What's the best build this league? What's the best way to earn money? Do not chase the meta. Make sure that the first character you pick is picked because you just find it cool. It's just a cool character. It'll make things way easier. There's nothing worse than just going through the motions of a game until it gets good. So pick a class that you think looks good, looks cool, and you'll have a much better time, especially as you go through the campaign, which can be pretty long. Now, our number 3 is contentious, but this is my top 10, so I'll do whatever I want. Do your first playthrough blind. Yes, you might mess it up, you probably will, and you might even get stuck, but you only get one chance to play the campaign completely blind ever, so don't miss it. Once you get into your second playthrough, you can start with guide and whatnot. And I know what I'm talking about, and I've put this on YouTube. My first ever character was completely blind. I completely finished the campaign, and when I was done with it, and I had this kind of janky character, but I learned a lot, I decided I really want to go back to the beginning with all this knowledge now and start over with a build. And that's what I did, and that's what I think is the best way to explore and discover Path of Exile. Number 4 is join the league. The temporary league is where all the people, all the fun, and all the good economy is. This is one of the mistakes that a lot of players make on their first character. They go for the standard league rather than the temporary league. And just to tell you a bit about the difference, the standard league is a bit like the Eternal Realm in Diablo 4, and the temporary league is a season event which changes every 3 months-ish, and it comes with new mechanics and stuff like that, but that's where all the people are. So you definitely want to play the temporary league. Trust me, there's nothing worse than finishing the campaign and realizing that everybody is having fun on the other side. Especially as once you're done with the campaign, you're going to want to look into trading, potentially guilds, communities, a bunch of stuff. And this makes me want to talk to you guys about number 5, which is stash tabs. Now, this took me a while to learn, really, but basically you can upgrade your stash, which is a chest that you find in every hub where you can just dump all your stuff. Path of Exile has a lot of currency items that will take up all your inventory space if you're not careful, so it's important to put things in your stash. But Path of Exile offers these microtransactions. They're not too expensive, and basically they're like improved stash tabs. And the great thing about them is that you can right-click on that stash tab, click Affinity, and whenever you control-click a currency or an item that's supposed to go in that stash tab, it automatically goes into it. So what does that mean? Well, it means that you don't have to have one screen with your items, your currencies, your potions, all that stuff. You can buy a stash tab that's just for your currencies, which is probably the most important one, by the way, and then put all your currencies in there, and it's nice and organized, and honestly, it's an amazing quality of life improvement. So get yourself a stash tab. But wait, there's stash tab sales. These happen every 3 weeks, which is crazy. So don't just buy them if there's no stash tab sale, because you can get them 50% off or so. So make sure you wait for one of these sales. You know what I mean? Oh, and one last thing about stash tabs. Apparently, these stash tabs will also transfer to Path of Exile 2, which is coming out in closed beta this year. So you're not wasting your money here. All right, moving on to number 6, which is prioritize your defense and sockets. Everything in this game will try to kill you, okay? Including the floor. So defensive-wise, it's really a good idea to focus on resistance, armor, evasion, that kind of stuff. And thanks to some folks on the Discord, I'm also able to tell you that you should be increasing your health by about 300 per act. So around Act 3, you should be around 900 health points. And ideally, you want to make sure that your resists are capped at 100%, meaning 75%. And ideally, you want to make sure that your resists are capped by Act 4 or 5. So yeah, think about that. So we've talked about defenses, but let me talk to you really quickly about sockets, which is still in my tip number 6. During the campaign, your sockets are way more important than your gear. So the important thing here is, like, if you find a piece of gear on the ground that has the amount of sockets and the linked sockets that you need, pick it up. That's more important than the stats themselves. The sockets are where you're going to get most of your damage, okay? Having access to correct sockets is just so important. But don't forget the movement speed, which is our number 7. The base walk speed in this game is a little slow for me, that's for sure. And there are no mounts like Diablo 4 or anything like that. So you want to make sure that you get movement speed as soon as possible. I sure did. It's one of the most important stats for me. I love how dynamic the game gets once you start picking up speed. And you can do this in multiple ways. You can get movement speed on your shoes, which is super important, but you can also get mobility skills like Dash, which is a green gem. And there are also other gems, so make sure to be on the lookout for those. Movement speed is king. Now, real quick, I want to talk to you about number 7, which is get a loot filter. Now, this is going to be a big one for you Diablo players out there, but in this game, you don't want to pick up every item, which was something that was really tough for me to understand. It was actually a point of frustration for me when I played the campaign for the first time, because I kept picking up everything. I thought it was important. And going back to town, selling it, going back into the level, walking 10 meters, grabbing all the items again. It's just not good. And there's a reason for that, is that the game actually needs you to have a loot filter. I'd say about 99% of all players has a loot filter on. You don't want to hoard items. The loot filters are a mandatory tool to decrease item clutter on screen and to help you prioritize the valuable items you want to pick up. Loot filters can be downloaded manually or automatically linked to your account online through your profile. You don't have to pick up all the loot, and the loot filters will help you by only showing you the stuff that actually matters. It's usually items with a lot of sockets or specific rare modifiers, but let's go through it real quick. How do you install a loot filter? Well, my no time wasting guide is as follows. You're going to want to Google NeverSync, and then you're going to want to go on that first link, which is NeverSync's website. Filterblade, PoE filter customizer. Then you want to go top right, sign in with PoE. Once you've signed in with your Path of Exile account, you want to create a new filter, and then you're just going to want to go NeverSync, semi-strict, normal, and then on the top right, save and export. Give it a name, like Nix Vellum or whatever. Make sure that you're on the correct place, so PC here, and then you click sync or download. Now, you're going to want to do save and sync. It's the best way to do it. Once that's done, go into Path of Exile, go into your settings. You'll find your filter in the menu. Click on it, save, and you're good to go. And now you don't have to worry about filters until at least the end of the campaign, which is good. Then you can get into more serious things. All right, enough about filters. Let me talk to you about one of my favorite tips. It's to get social. Don't be afraid to make some friends. The best thing about Path of Exile is that it's actually very, very much community focused. And in my experience, the Path of Exile community just really wants you to have a good time. Well, 90% of them anyway. They want to help you. They want you to succeed. They want you to discover what they already know. And it's exactly why I'm here today, I think. So join a community on Discord. You can join the official Path of Exile one, or you can join your favorite creators Discord. We all have one. I'm really proud to say that we've curated our Nix Cord, the Nix Vellum Discord, for new players. So make sure you join, and there'll be somebody there to help you, including myself. Come and have a chat. Number 9, there is a lot of gambling. I don't know how much of that is a tip, but just keep that in mind. The game is entertaining because there's a lot of RNG. Now, it's not all RNG, but you'll see as you get to play that the game is very much all about gambling. High risk, high reward. The stronger the monsters you face, for example, increases the likelihood of better loot drops. But you'll also find currency items that allow you to add the modifiers or remove modifiers from items, and most of the time you're looking for the very specific modifier. So yeah, just keep that in mind. There's a lot of gambling. And our final tip today is take your time and follow your own pace. I think a lot of guides out there, I think a lot of information on Path of Exile out there is fantastic, but it prioritizes blasting through the game to get to the end. And although the end of the game is fantastic, I don't subscribe to the idea that you need to put 40 hours into a game until it gets good. And I don't believe Path of Exile is like that either. I think Path of Exile is fantastic from level 1. So make sure to take your time, follow your own pace, and enjoy the ride. There's a lot of lore for you to check out. The bosses and the characters are really fun. The quests are good. Just take your time. And I think that's it for our video. It was a quick one, but I really wanted to talk to you today about my top 10 tips before you play Path of Exile, especially for you Diablo players out there. I really want you to discover this game. Anyway, that's enough for today. Thank you as usual. Come and join the Discord. I'm probably live right now on Twitch, so come and join us. Oh, and before I forget, if you got any questions, put them in the comments. The Path of Exile community just loves to help, so make sure you put them in the comments. And if you've got any veterans of Path of Exile, there's probably about 90 tips that I didn't put in this video, so why don't you put them in the comments to help your fellow brethren who are trying to get into Path of Exile. With that being said, we will see you in the next one.